going on, everybody? Welcome back to yet another edition of the Herd Sportsbook, presented by your host Tiz, your co-host Rob. We're back for yet another edition of the Sportsbook with another good old UFC Vegas on tap. You know, little pay-per-view hangover after yet another banger of a pay-per-view. But you know, and then what I mean by that is like obviously, you know. It's like a trend, like after a pay-per-view, like the next card, you know, like they're a little like in between in terms of like, you know, on paper, like what to expect and all that. But
luckily though, we have a good overall fight weekend, and we'll get to the other stuff after the UFC, but we got Bellator tonight and then Spence versus Ugas tomorrow. We'll get into that later, but
yeah, we'll touch on that a little bit later in this episode, and then of course on Monday for the recap of this card, and then obviously what the boxing fight and all that. Of course, as always, be on the lookout for that. But for this card right here, I mean, in terms of like, you know, daily fantasy and betting and all of that, it's an odd one in the sense because I think this time around, like, you know, like obviously you're gonna have the heavy favorites and. You know, I think you've got like two pick'ems on this card, like two straight even money pick'ems, and you know, just like everything else in between. This card, when I was putting everything in a spreadsheet and all that, I saw like, you know, obviously every week like the sites aren't gonna 100% agree on everything and have like relatively the same odds for everything, but this week in particular, like there's quite a few things that like more than usual that the sites like disagree on, and it's honestly it's worth like just it's worth like separating like, you know, the you know what they like into this episode into like two parts, like what, you know, the spots that the sites like they do relatively like, you know, are on the same page on, and then the ones that, you know,
true, that makes sense.
Yeah, that aren't, and then
I hadn't even had a chance to look at it yet since I looked at it before, like earlier in the week, but I haven't looked since I made like my actual picks in my head. So I can't wait to get into it. Yeah,
it's pretty interesting, and I mean one of those like this, you know, this is not one of the pickers was talking about, but there's no heavy favorite whatsoever. I think it's fine to just we could just take it up right from the top, anyways, or the main event. Of course, in the welterweight division between potential title eliminator in the welterweight division between Belal Muhammad and Vicente Luque, and the rematch between Belal Muhammad and Vicente Luque, and
long time in between though. Very worth noting. Two very different fights that this is going to be, I think.
But not to say like this time around like that Vicente Luque is just going to straight just walk Belal Muhammad down again and just, you know, make quick work of it.
I think the first fight he knocked him out in like a minute 19. Like, that's not going to happen again. I don't think it could. I mean, I don't think it will.
The same way Belal Muhammad has come, like, a very long way, you know, to, like, get, like, in this point, like, you know, this time around against Vicente Luque, like, you know.
I like that name, actually.
Vicente Luque.
He actually was one of the, he might have been the first fighter to like a photo on the Hurt Handbook Instagram. I shit you not.
That's news to me. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure. I honestly like.
Shout out to Vicente.
As you're talking, I'm gonna check this because I could check the receipts.
Go for it, but well, as I was saying, this Belal Muhammad's come a long way since that. Obviously, like to get to this point to where, like I just said, like for this to be a potential title eliminator, like, you know, respect him, good for him to get back in the spot, and then obviously like chance of redemption against Vicente Luque. But the same way Belal Muhammad has come a long way. I will say Vicente Luque, I think like. I wouldn't say, not to say he's like not in his prime anymore, but I think his best days are behind him now.
Really?
I do, yeah, honestly. Let's see.
I thought this might be news to me.
Vicente Luque.
I always think of him as like him and Belal, honestly, as dark horses just to.
He's 30.
I know he's been around for a long time, so I mean, I'll give you that.
He's the same age as Leon.
I don't know if I agree that he's like. I think his best days are still in front of him. Maybe not in terms of like overall like ability, but maybe in terms of like actual glory itself. Because I mean, if he wins this fight, it's onward and upward from here.
Right.
That's more like maybe that I just interpreted it differently, but like I don't know. I would say his best days are still in front of him, especially if he can get a win in this fight. Just
basically what I was getting at is the same way Belal's come obviously a very long way since that first fight. Same way Vicente Luque has, and Vicente Luque. I mean, not to disrespect anything like Belal Muhammad's done to get here, but Vicente Luque, in terms of like competition and whatnot, I'm just gonna have to give the edge to Vicente Luque here.
He's fought killers. By the way, he was the first. Look at that. Yeah, I'll put it on the video at some point.
You have to, dude.
That's cool. I didn't even remember that until just now.
All right, well, let's try to not have some bias between this discussion.
Well, after this, it might sound like I have bias, but I'll explain why I'm picking. I'm picking Vicente Luque.
Just when we say that, because both our picks. You can beat Luque here. Okay. There's no bias behind it.
No, I never do that. I'm not that type of way.
Like, I just don't. Not to say that once again, like, I could see it ending a finish. Not to say it's gonna end like in under 2 minutes again, but Vicente Luque in terms of just volume and activity, and I just always see that as a bad matchup for Belal. Honestly, like
it kind of is.
Belal, someone who typically tries to point fight, wants that, looking for the decision. Vicente, and that's kind of been the case with a few guys that Belal Muhammad's fought. Like, they just don't respect like the stand-up game, the striking enough to really like, they can really just come forward and walk down and not really worry about taking any like real damage.
He's good in like that way that he's good at mixing it up. Like, he can point fight on the feet, and he has like very good wrestling at the same time.
And I think and then obviously I don't think it really goes without saying that his best chance to win this fight is obviously taking the back and seeing what he can do in the clinch or.
And Luque has been like susceptible to that, like in the past, like getting his back taken by good guys on the ground. Like Chiesa took his back before. Obviously, Luque ended up coming back and winning.
Crazy fight.
There's a lot of fights that I remember seeing before that fight specifically, because I remember when he fought Chiesa, I wanted to watch tape on guys that took his back and were able to get there, because Chiesa is one of those guys who could do that. And Belal, people don't give him that sort of credit. Like, it's amazing. I think it's just because of his fight style. But he really is like good at like taking the back and like getting in very dominant positions on the ground. Like, we saw that in the Wonderboy fight a lot. And I think Luque's a better grappler than Wonderboy, but very different fight. That's like more what I'm trying to say. And like, we'll get more into it obviously, but I think I might have cut you off in the middle.
No, I was done saying what I was saying. But in terms of like numbers and all that and price tags, all that. Luque 8,500, so he's not even, because in terms of like we tend to before at the beginning of typically every episode we'll talk about like, all right, what's the what the card's looking like in terms of the fighters and price tags and all that. And in terms of like 9K, like the top pay up options, there's really not all that much. And then the ones that are like, they're not like typically like the best like fantasy fighters or someone that'll fight for your money. That quote.
There's a lot of people on this card who have like not a lot of losses, but like a decent amount of losses, to the point where I noticed like their average points per like fight is pretty like low. But I don't know if that's because of like that their wins aren't as impressive, or it's that their losses really tore them down. You get what I mean?
It's probably more the wins aren't as impressive. I think it's good, like, not to say that I use it if I'm making an MMA lineup, like the average like points and all that. I don't think that's really all that. Obviously, like, it's gonna be a matchup thing always at the end of the day, but
that's just something I noticed though, honestly, just because like just when I was looking at it and I see like some like, good fighters in like the 30s, 40s. I'm like,
that's what and then that's pretty much what I was talking about with like these 9K fighters. They're heavy favorites and they're priced what they are because they should win, but it's not really not for the most part, not really expected to be like just straight dominant fashion, like TKO first round, submission, whatever. It was more like, I think the decision odds for most of them are like just really like, just just not a lot of value in a good amount of these 9K guys. We'll obviously get to all of them, but in terms of also like a guy like Vicente Luque at 8,500 right in the middle, I think
that's not that bad, honestly, for Vicente Luque in terms of like what he's able to do fight to fight.
Yeah, seriously, like.
And honestly, I'll say this, like, in terms of the actual like fight and those guys like skill for skill, I think that Luque definitely. I'm thinking about it from Belal's perspective, and I say to myself, if he got knocked out in the first round of that fight, I don't think he's going to want to stay on the feet early. I think he's going to want to see if he can get it to the ground. And I'm not saying that in the sense that Belal's like scared to strike with him. I just think that he might want to change up the game plan and different fight, you know what I'm saying? And then the thing is though with that is like Luque, he has like pretty good takedown defense, but also he has really good like chokes like from like the front headlock, like, kind of like getting people as they're coming in, like with guillotines.
He's very he's very crafty.
Yeah, he's slick with it. Like it's not the most technical. It's just really like opportunistic. Like he's good at locking it up real quick. But the thing is with Belal Muhammad, I don't think that. I
kind of want to like a little bit like change what I said before in terms of like I just don't think it's a good matchup for Belal Muhammad. I think it is in the sense that because of Vicente Luque's fight style, obviously, and then us, as well as, like, just probably the opponent factor, like, Belal Muhammad, like, this is I'm not any real serious power, like, he tags me up, lands a few shots here and there, whatever, well, then it says it's a good match, like, Vicente Luque is going to leave himself, like, very, like, vulnerable and susceptible to be hit, and then that's obviously, when Belal is on the feet, like, that's what he's looking for, he's looking to land shots, he's looking, just to rack up the points, and then get the decision because like once again he's not someone that's typically like especially someone like Vicente Luque, he's not going to knock him out, but
I just think it's going to be tough for Belal to grapple for 5 rounds. That's the thing. So like he can't think that he's going to he can, but I think it's
fight
tough
factor too.
It's just because I think that as the fight gets later on, like 3rd, 4th, 5th round, like I don't know if his cardio is going to hold up like that, and it could. I mean, I don't know if we've really even seen it, though. I think the only 5-round fight he's ever been in is the Leon one, and that only made it to round 2 before the eye poke. But the thing is, like, with Belal, I'm still picking Luque to win, but I don't think it's going to be, like, as clear-cut as everybody thinks it's going to be. Like, I think Belal is, like, a really good fighter, and he's progressed a lot.
I wouldn't hate you for taking a shot on Belal whatsoever. It's not like he's,
He has great offensive and defensive wrestling, which like is pretty like impressive. Like it holds up with those top guys. I'm pretty sure I saw that he has like 91% takedown defense, which is incredible. Like that's outstanding. Like that's literally like top of the food chain, honestly. And I just think that he has good enough wrestling that he can get Vicente on the ground and hold him there for like at least a round or two, and then even if not that, he can tire him out like with the relentless wrestling that he has and then make it more of a slugfest on the feet. Like I honestly think this is going to be a fairly close fight. I think it'll be maybe like 48-47 or like maybe a hard 49-46 for Vicente Luque. But I originally thought he might finish him, but as I watched more of the fights and then I was like really looking into it more, I was just like, I don't know. I mean, Belal's a tough guy to finish. Like I said, I don't think he'll be able to submit him, and that's the other thing I actually want to say. The thing is, like with Vicente Luque going for all those chokes, that blows out your arms. So if Belal isn't one of those people who panics when he gets into like a submission position. Like he's good at defending and working his way out. So if it's not like locked up clean, I think that he might blow out his arms a little bit, and that might take away from his power, which is why I think it might end up being like a slugfest in those later rounds. I think this is going to be a really good fight, man. That's what it is, honestly. But, yeah. That's my whole take on it, honestly.
It's exactly, especially taking the fact, the fact that, like, once again, like, this is just huge, like, in terms of, like, the division in general, like, this is a huge fight. So, yeah, gets, However, I won't say you can't go wrong with anyone in this fight. Like, you can clearly go wrong with someone in this fight. Like, I'm siding Vicente Luque here, but
I think Belal can win, and I don't think people are realizing that enough. Like, I think Belal has more of a chance than everybody's giving him.
It's advised to be exposed in some way, shape, or form to this fight. I say the 5-round factor as well, and like once again, they're not like
Belal gets a lot of takedowns too. Like in the Wonderboy fight, at 7-9, I think.
Yeah, Belal's $800 cheaper than Luque too. So I mean, obviously that we talked about it before, but like cash game builds. If you wanted to play, just want to go with both of these guys on the lineup, like that works too. There's a lot you can do with this fight. So
what are some of the betting odds on this one for like decision wins?
For decision, Luque is Luque's a plus 350. And Belal's a plus 250.
That's actually so Vegas honestly could see it happening too. They're smart. They get it.
They think Luque is gonna win by a finish.
Yeah, what's his knockout one?
225.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
So yeah, that's how if Vegas thinks if Luque wins, if Vicente Luque wins, it's gonna be by finish. If Belal wins, it's gonna be by decision.
What are the odds just overall like?
Money line odds, Luque's minus 180, Belal's 155, plus 155.
I like that. That's good. I'm glad that Vegas at least is like respecting that.
Let's see. We'll see if because that does look really good where it is right now. So we'll see how that changes throughout the week. But right before it in the co-main is even closer in terms of the odds and whatnot even closer of a pick'em than the main event itself, and that, of course, I'm talking about Cairo Barajo taking on Gadzi.
You answer this or pronounce this.
Gadzi Omar Gadzi.
I think it's. I heard this pronounced yesterday. I swear, bro.
The spreadsheet doesn't even show that.
Well, because it's Gadzi Ev, so it's Gadzi Omar Gadziev.
Omar Gadziev.
We got that one.
Easy enough, yeah, exactly.
No, that's not too bad. You gotta break it up. That's what it is with those long Russian names. Like sometimes you just have to sit there, look at it, and really just break it up like syllable by syllable, and then you'll get it.
Yeah,
I was never one of those guys who couldn't say Nurmagomedov. There's a lot of people who can't people just butcher. Even Joe Rogan, remember?
Once I figured out how to say it for the first time, I couldn't stop saying it.
Yes, same with Stephen A. Smith. I love when he says it. Because everybody else, we just call him Habib because we're not crazy. Like, we're not going to waste our time saying that name, even though we know how to say it. But, like, Stephen A. Smith, I feel like he just thinks that it's, like, it's preferred in the MMA. He thinks, we think it's impressive. But, I don't know. I think that's pretty funny. I just wanted to say that. Anyway, on to Gadzi.
Yeah, so, I really I didn't know. I'm gonna let you, after I preface the the numbers and price tags and all that odds. I'm gonna let you take this one first because I truly did not know what to do with this one. I was researching at first thinking wow, is this one I'm gonna need to is this one you're gonna need to have one of these guys that they're gonna show in the perfect lineup, or you really don't need much of it at all? And
so from the stuff that I was watching, I don't know as much about either of these guys either, so I did a decent amount of research going in. But Barajo has good striking. It's a karate style. You wouldn't think it by the way he looks. That's the way he fights. And then you know this. I always got my notes. And then Barajo, that's the other thing. He has really good jiu-jitsu, but Omar Gadziev is a typical. He's got that good top pressure, so he might be able to stifle that jiu-jitsu. And I honestly, just because of that, I always lean with that Russian wrestling over those guys who are good off their back, just because usually that Russian top pressure is just
I know Gadzi's top control is serious,
and he's just a good fighter as it is. And he has good ground and pound too. So I feel if Barajo's going for submissions, he might be open for some shots, and that might not go well for him. So personally, I was siding with Gadziev. Oh God, I'm combining this first and last name, dude. I'm siding with Omar Gadziev in this fight.
like I just did with Vicente Luque. It's all right.
Yeah, dude, it's a tough slate. It's a tough slate.
Yeah, Godziev, plus 350. I just did the same thing you did.
It's hard because his first name is his last name. I hate, that's so tough when that happens because I want to call him Godziev, but that's not his name. It's Godzi. Omar Godziev. Let's just call him Godzi, honestly.
Let's do it. Plus 350 to win by knockout on DraftKings. I mean, they like it better. No, yeah, biggest thing is if it's gonna end in a finish, then he's gonna win by a knockout.
That's fair. I think it'll be like a TKO type of thing, like ground and pound.
But the decision odds are like very predictable and low, so not a ton of value in a Godzi money line or decision. But 8,400 on DraftKings, $16 on FanDuel. Okay. I'm a fan. I'm here for it. So
now that I made the picks and I'm hearing these numbers, I'm like, man, I might have to play this. Might have to play this.
It's a sneaky one for.
It really is, and especially that main event. People are looking down on that main event because everybody thinks that Luque is just gonna run through Belal.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't think that. And then I was looking at the rest of the card, and there's some good fights on here. Like, it's always these sleeper cards that provide some good ones. That's what I always see. Like, it'll be those cards that you're sleeping on, you're not looking forward to as much. Maybe you're like, I'm going to want Bellator instead. Not hating on Bellator, obviously. I'm so excited for that tonight. I honestly, we're going to get into it later, but I do just want to say, I don't know how much, you've looked into it besides when I told you about it, but I'm so excited for those two title fights. As excited as I usually am for the UFC ones. We've been talking a lot of UFC on the the podcasts just because not a lot of stuff has been happening in the other promotions that we've wanted to really talk about. But I will say this just for our platform, I'll say we definitely like to highlight other promotions as much as we can. It's because people, the UFC is obviously the biggest thing in America. And rightfully so, the way that they've built that. But honestly, things like Bellator, PFL, One Championship, or even those grappling tournaments and stuff that you see on Fight Pass, they're all just so interesting. And they do provide some interesting things to talk about and just fun things to watch, honestly, if you're not that far into it and you want to.
There was another one that that I'm blanking out. I don't know if it's just the grappling.
Is it that Fury grappling one? I know we've talked about that a lot.
It might be.
That one's fun. Or another one. God, we're giving a lot of shout outs. Quintet Ultra on UFC Fight Pass is always fun. That's that team one. Remember they had the Team UFC, Team WEC, Team Strike Force. That was cool, man. That was the one where Sugar Sean guillotined Takanori Gomi.
Oh.
If I think I've told you about that. That's why I'm always high on Sugar's grappling. People don't give him credit. They think just because the guy's a striker, he can't grapple. But you watch that match, he locks that up quick, and he did it to Chris Matinho too in their fight. People sleep on Sugar Sean's grappling off his back. I just want to say that. But anyway, back to the actual fights that we were talking about. We went on a little bit of a tangent, but it's all right. All those things are worth noting.
Oh, of course. There was something that I had in mind, but I'm blanking on it. If it comes back, I'll say it. But
grappling's fun, man. That's grown to be my second favorite thing to watch, behind the UFC. That and obviously boxing, just because boxing was how I got into it in the first place. But
a really good grappling match is truly a lot.
It's fun to watch. Gary Tonin versus Crone Gracie. That's oh my God! If people these are all on YouTube, by the way. These grappling matches that I'm about to say, but that one, Gary Tonin versus Usamar Palhares, that is another. that match is awesome, dude. That's why I'm such a big Gary Tonin fan. It's his personality's funny enough, but it's just the fact that he's just so exciting in everything that he does. That's why I'm such a big fan of his. One championship, even though he lost his title fight, They got a good thing in Gary Tonin, that's for sure. They got a lot of good guys from Henzo's. They got Gordon Ryan too, I'm pretty sure. They got Daniel Kelly.
Obviously. I know there's someone on this card who trains at Henzo Gracie Philadelphia, which is supposedly a really good gym.
I might know them if you say the name when we get to it, but we can get back to it, obviously. We're talking a lot about grappling, boxing.
Yeah, so this next fight is not as close as the co-main, but it features the most expensive fighter we've talked about so far, and the least expensive that we've talked about so far. Okay. And I'm talking about Andre Fialo taking on Miguel Bayesa, and
who's the really expensive one?
Bayesa's 8,700.
That's fair.
And Fialo's 75, and I don't have any real objections. Bayesa minus 170 money line and 240 favorite to, or is actually 225 to win by knockout. So
he's got incredible striking. Like when he's on, man, he looks really good. Like the thing is, in his last couple fights where he's stumbled, one against Ponzinibbio and then Chaos Williams, he just kind of tends to fade as the fight goes on sometimes. But I think he's like starting to become aware of that, because he used to come out like fairly aggressively, like with his leg kicks. Like he is so powerful and precise with his striking. Like, I'm impressed by it. But lately, he's been coming out a little more tentative, and I think that might just be to preserve the gas tank, which is, I mean, it's kind of smart, but he's a little, like, too tentative sometimes, it looks like. So, I mean, I hope he can turn up the gas in this fight. I think he's going to win this one. I think this is a good matchup for him.
You're talking about Bayesa, right?
Yeah. Like, I think that Fialo might be able to do well in the first round just if Bayesa fights tentatively, but as the fight goes on, I think he'll be able to settle in and really, put a beating on him just on the feet. And honestly, he's got submissions on the ground, but I don't see him taking it there. I think this will be a on the feet, just striking clinic by Miguel Bayesa personally. Yeah,
so far it's looking like you really don't need to even. I mean, obviously you should always consider it, but like just in terms of like what's like gonna be optimal and whatnot, like. Going to the 9Ks isn't like we've already talked about 3 of these mid to upper 8K guys.
Who are some of those 9K people? I'm kind of curious.
So actually, to run it down real quick, because we're talking about right now like the closer to, and then we're gonna get on the prelims. There's the 2 pick'ems.
True,
so
yeah, you did
we're gonna into that, but because they're obviously all these 9K guys are obviously relatively big favorites, but that would be
just out of curiosity though.
Maya Buena Silva, Pat Sabatini. Yes, Pat Sabatini.
I remember that one, actually.
Estela Nunes is 89, so, I mean, I guess, but Martin Boudet at 9K, and then Jakar Close. Oh, and then Pania Kianzad. And that's about it.
Those are all fairly, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at, like, what I had down. Yeah, I think that's fair.
So,
I was just curious, though. We can get into whatever fight you're trying to get into, man. I'm prepared.
Yeah,
we got this. In the beginning of the week, I was a little nervous, as you know. I saw the card, and I was like, wow. I don't remember a lot of these guys,
I mean, that'll just take us right to... hold on one sec. That'll just take us right to the prelims, then, where, obviously, we've got, like I just said, we got 2 straight even money pick'ems here. Might as well just get right into them. After I snuff them out real quick.
Which
they're right there. That's going to be between...
I'm curious.
And...
I was surprised to hear that Bueno Silva one was so far apart, honestly.
This is one that this is a fight I actually am, like, pretty excited for, like, in general. But,
what we got?
It's going to be Jesse Ronson and Rafa Garcia.
That should be a fun one, actually. Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one.
$8K and $8,200 on DraftKings, respectively, and but yeah, like this is like I said, one of the first of 2, and I mean, I really like Jesse Ronson.
Yeah.
Like in general, I like him in this fight as well, but I think he stands like I think he does stand like a pretty good chance there. I think the grappling can take. I think like. I'm not expecting anything crazy like decision, like a little decision victory, whether it's a split decision or unanimous decision. I'm not sure, but I just can't really get hit. I think,
and I think this is probably why it's a pick'em fight. I'm the other way. I think Rafa Garcia's got it just because.
Okay.
I didn't know this until this week, but I'm pretty sure this is like Ronson's first fight in like a couple years, And the reasoning is because he got suspended for like actual just straight up steroids. And I say to myself, if like you're doing that like on the regional, like this might be his UFC debut. I'm not 100% sure, but it could be. But either way, I know he hasn't fought much in the UFC. So, like, he was doing this apparently, though, like, pretty early on, I would think. And, like, I say to myself, that might mess with his confidence. And just the fact that he was always, like, a pretty active fighter before that. And now this is, like, a huge layoff. And he's fighting, like, a guy who's pretty game and, like, pretty experienced. I just think that, like, because of that, it might be, like, a tougher fight for him. I mean, plus Garcia, I think, has fought more guys just, like, kind of at that, like, higher level. I just think the experience and just the suspension thing, like, I don't know. I don't think that bodes well for Ronson personally. And I think this is at 55, right? I think it's at 55. I think Ronson's also going down in weight, I want to say. I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think he's going down in weight. So that's the other thing that makes me a little, I don't know, man. There's just a lot of, like, there's a lot of things in this fight that, like, make me nervous about Ronson more so than Garcia. Okay. That's just my personal opinion. Like, I could see Ronson winning. Like, it is, like, deserved, like, skill for skill. It's a close fight.
What do you think's the most likely path to victory?
For either of them?
For Ronson.
For Ronson? I don't know, man. It's tough. Just because, like, Garcia's one of those guys who's just, like, he's game, man. Like, he's gonna come to fight. But I don't know. This is one of those fights that it's hard just because, like I said, like, it's been a couple years. So, like, it's not like he hasn't been training. So, I don't know, like, he could have learned, like, whole new thing by that. Okay, I'm not even sure.
By virtue of it being a couple of years as well, this obviously means then he hasn't fought in the Apex yet.
It also means, which, you know, I'll give this to him, like, as a positive, it also means he hasn't taken any damage in the past 2 years besides maybe a little tiny bit in the gym. Like, you know, the wear and tear.
It is. I still like Ronson. I think, like, in terms of, like, I don't think he's not, or, you know what I mean? To pick him, so there's no really real favorites, but at least for DraftKings, he's favorited on right now as a -120, and he's the cheaper of the two, not by much, but he's cheaper of the two. I just think in terms of that, like, you know, you're saving the 200 from Garcia, who might be popular.
Yeah, in that sense, yeah.
And I don't think he's gonna get finished, Jesse Ronson.
No,
I don't think that's the case.
I don't think either of them, honestly. I think it'll be a decision one way or the other. But
yeah, I don't think it'll be like a snoozer or anything either. I think it'll be a close one.
What was that other pick'em? You said there were two, right?
Yeah, later on between Devin Clark and William Knight. And
I don't know if that should be a pick'em, honestly. What do you think?
It's not as you know, it's not as much. It's not nearly as much as a Jesse Ronson or Rafa Garcia, but. You know, and obviously that's an even money pick'em. This isn't really an even money pick'em, but it is pretty close. I mean,
I personally have Knight because
yeah, they have it. William Knight's the underdog here.
Ooh, okay.
Devin Clark is -170.
I like to hear that.
$8,600 to William Knight's $7,600.
Okay.
And Devin Clark to win by decision, just +140. William Knight +400, and then
it'll be
as far as knockout odds.
I think he could be big on DraftKings too for fantasy and for that 60-second bonus too. I feel like he might be able to get it done, like William Knight. Yeah,
there you have it. Then that's
just because, like, Devin Clark, he's a really good, like, wrestler, and he's just a good fighter. Like, overall, he's really athletic. But the thing is, like, I notice when I watch his fights, and he's fought like a lot of, like, good guys too with power. He doesn't like getting hit very much. It looks like that's just what it is. And William Knight has a lot of power.
You'll have guys that, like, they'll, you know, even if, like, you don't have a chin, like, you can tell when a guy, like that, you know, they can't really handle being, you know, hit like full force, like, you know, someone in the UFC, like, probably should be able to, like, take, but.
I don't know. I just don't think that bodes well against a guy who has as much power as William Knight does. But I just think that the way that he'll win is if he can take him down and hold him down for 3 rounds. Because William Knight, I know, doesn't have the greatest cardio. But, I mean, it's because he's jacked. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it'll get to that. That's my thing. I think he'll be William Knight. He's a little short, but I think he'll be able to close the distance. Honestly, I don't know. I don't. It could. It's either going to be a Clark decision win, or it's going to be a Knight knockout. That's the way I see it personally.
Well, I think the Knight 7,600 is.
Yeah, I like the value on Knight there, just because
definitely,
and especially just because I personally think he's gonna do that. Like, so I obviously when I see him at like a cheaper price like that, automatically I'm like, okay, that's someone to note.
Yeah, and is it no? It's Devin Clark I'm looking at for knockout. So I was gonna point out a potential value there in terms of the props, but yeah, I think that like I said, Devin Clark, especially in the price range that he's in for this card, like does not really stand out a whole lot to me. I'm just gonna prefer like the guys we've already talked about, and then other guys we'll get to. But yeah, it's pretty much it for the pick'ems and the closer fights. Now in terms of just the heavy favorites and obviously these 9K upper echelon fighters, I guess we'll just start from the top of the card, which will take us to not really all that. We'll just go with the 9K fighters because this isn't some crazy spread or anything. But that's Chris Barnett and Martin Buday. 9K Barnett taking on 9K Buday taking on.
I was kidding. What? Jesus, we might be getting some real value on the other guy. Jesus. All right, 9K, but you almost. If I was wearing one of those things that monitor your heart rate, dude,
that
oh my god,
the most just incorrect price tag of all time.
Jeez,
but
that scared me.
7,200 on that, taking on 9K Buday.
Okay, that sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Martin Buday's minus 250 money line favorite, 650 to win by decision, and is actually it's a favorite to win by knockout, minus 115. And
it's a tough fight for Barnett. It's just what it is. He's short for the weight class. He's
Chris Barnett, obviously, we love Chris Barnett here.
It's just they gave him
her handbook.
Tall dude. I'm pretty sure.
And
I'm pretty sure he's pretty tall, 6'3" or something like that.
It's outside of the whole unorthodox style and just the excitement.
I just don't think he's gonna be able to close the distance. He could throw spinning kicks. He's got the diverse striking, but you have to land it.
Exactly, that doesn't win. That doesn't win fights unless you land it. Yeah. And if you land it, then that. And
you got to think it was impressive that he did that to Jean Vellante, but then you think about the losing streak that Vellante was kind of. Well, yeah, he just wasn't doing too well, and he didn't look physically great in that fight. So I don't know. I like that win just because it was cool, but. I don't hold much value in it.
This seems like a bit of an egregious because you pretty much just said I wasn't even really thinking about the John Vellante fight, and then obviously all the outside variables with John Vellante, obviously for how long he's been in the UFC and it being his last fight and all of that.
You gotta remember how the shape he was in going in. I was like, what? Oh god, but. Yeah,
I don't really see why the UFC is using because clearly they're using that fight, and then obviously
I feel like this guy's so marketable. Why are they putting him against someone?
It just doesn't because we talk about it a lot, obviously with what the UFC should do with certain guys, but guys like these that are could be the next one of the next most popular fighters in all of UFC.
I just think Buday is going to be able to march him down, kind of like how. If you remember I don't even remember when this was, but it was the fight that Barnett had with Ben Rothwell. He just kind of got walked down the whole time just because Ben Rothwell was a lot taller. I think that's going to happen in this fight. It's just what it is. I think he's 5'9" fighting a heavyweight, and he's not a small heavyweight in terms of his weight either. I'm pretty sure he weighs in at 265. So, yeah, man, I don't know. This is a tough matchup for him. I hope he wins, but it's a tough one, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's really it. He lands one of these because that's what it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna be a TK. I mean, obviously in the sense that if he knocks him down and then starts ground and pounding, then a TKO in that sense. But I think if Barnett lands that one,
he has to catch him.
Yeah, he needs to catch him, and then that's really, and then obviously that is just. you know,
I don't think
you're
the
really
odds are high of that happening. Personally, that's just
yeah.
He's up against it.
Yeah, this is not the, you know, like we just talked about William Knight, for instance, for just $400 cheaper. And like, Barnett, like, obviously, you know, you make multiple lineups and you want to take that chance. Obviously, it's the fight game; anything can happen. But
of course,
not create like the numbers. Yeah, nothing's really favoring Chris Barnett here, and rightfully so. It's pretty unfortunate. Like, once again, I don't know why. I hope he doesn't get destroyed. I would think.
I don't think he'll be like cut or anything if they.
No, yeah, but still, in terms of like, damn, like
won't be the best start. I think he'll be 1-2, or might be. He's 1-1, I think, right now. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I'm pretty sure. So.
Well, yeah. With that being said, we can move. After the Ronson and Garcia fight is the next spot, which is Jakar Close and Brandon Jenkins. $9,400 Close, $6,800 Jenkins. Like, this is actually the largest favorite on the spread. I mean, a favorite on the favorite on the card.
The high one again, like the heavy favorite.
Oh, Jakar Close.
Okay, good.
He's the.
I had to make sure I hear you right every time now after that last one. But
he is
he should be
biggest favorite on the entire card.
Damn, he should be. He's a really good fighter. I think he's just underrated in general. He's got.
Yeah, I think literally like the only you know.
He almost knocked out Beneil Dariush. Like, people forget about that. Like, that was a war.
I think literally like the only thing that you know, not even really like prevented from winning, but it could obviously, but the concussions, I think that's literally like, because other than that, we don't factor that, then Jakar Close is an absolute smash. Like, he should destroy Brandon Jenkins. I don't want to disrespect Brandon Jenkins, but I don't
even mean it as disrespectful to him when I say it. I just say I think that Jakar Close is a lot better than people think he is. That's just what it is, to me.
Yeah, he's because he was supposed to fight Jeremy Stevens last, right?
Yeah, and Jeremy Stevens pushed him to weigh-ins, and
that's
the other thing. Jakar Close does cut a lot of weight, but I don't know. I think that Jakar Close should win this fight personally. I think he's got great wrestling. He's got really good striking. He's got a lot of power, I should say that. Like, he has the power to knock you out. And I think that he definitely is going to want to get in there and get a good win, especially, like, he's had a rough little run since, like, the Dariush fight. Just bad luck, like the things with Stevens and stuff. Fights falling out. I think he'll get in there and get a good win just because he's a good fighter. Very underrated. Like I said, this close to knocking out Beneil Dariush, and look where he's at. So that's how I see it.
I mean, we'll just conjunct this throw this fight right in with this one then, because it's literally right after, and it's pretty much like, the same scenario between Pani Kianzad and Lena Landsberg. $9,100 Kianzad, $7,100 Landsberg, minus 425 moneyline favorite Kianzad.
This will be a fun one. I think it'll be on the feet. Like, I think there'll be some good striking in it, like high level striking, because they're both good strikers. Landsberg has more of like an all around game, but I don't think that she's gonna be able to get Kianzad down. And I think Kianzad has really good striking.
So you think Landsberg can land and then?
Yeah, I think she can do well. I don't know if I don't think she'll win personally, because I think Panty's just a beast. Like, I think she's really good. So, yeah, that's just how I see it. I think it'll be mostly on the feet, and Kianzad is just the better striker. That's just what it is.
And then, pretty much finally, this fight on the main... Or no, there's two more, actually. And they're both on the main card. Starting with Pat Sabatini and Tj Laramie, 9,200. Sabatini, minus 510, one-line favorite to beat. 7K Laramie.
They're both really good grapplers. It's honestly almost the opposite of the fight we just talked about, more in the sense that they're going to go to the ground. They're both really good grapplers, but Laramie, he's young and he's still like developing. He's still like kind of like made some errors in some fights. Like, he got guillotined quick by Derek Minner, and I think that Sabatini is a really good grappler himself, and I think he'll be able to probably catch him in a submission at some point within those 3 rounds. So, yeah, that's a fair favorite. Even when you said it, I remembered it just because of that. Like, yeah, I think it's a fair favorite.
Yep. And then right after that, like relatively the same thing. Just with women. Maya Buena Silva, Yanan Wu, $9,300 Buena Silva minus 510.
Now this I don't think should be as. This is ridiculous to being this far apart.
Okay.
Because I think this is going to be one of the best fights of the night, personally. I think because both these girls are going to come at one another and they're going to throw hands. Like, that's just what it is. And Bueno Silva, she has a good ground game, and Wu Yinan, she's like pretty strong. So like I think that they both have like things that can mess up the other one pretty much. I just think this one's going to be a war, personally. That's just why I think it's going to be very, very close. Like, I think that they both do get hit. And, like, I think Bueno Silva does have, like, cleaner boxing. But I don't think it's, like, bulletproof. I think she's going to win, personally. Let me see if I wrote anything else down that's worth noting. Because I was really looking forward to this after I, like, saw that this fight was booked. Because I didn't even realize it at first. But, yeah, that's the other thing. I completely forgot about that. Yeah. Bueno Silva, she just fights like... She's always coming forward. Like, that's the thing. I just think that she's going to be able to put Yanan on the back foot, which is why she's probably the favorite. But I think that's honestly might be the only reason, in my opinion, why she should be the favorite. Because I think this fight is a lot closer in every other way. Like, I just think it'll be a fun one, personally.
Okay.
She should win. I'll say that. Like, it's not crazy that she's like, a favorite, but
I saw that she was training with Chris Cyborg, and she said
Bueno
that
Silva you're talking?
Yeah, and she said like it's the best decision she's ever made.
That ups it a few points for me, honestly. That's pretty impressive.
So we'll see how much that ends up coming to light tomorrow, but
yeah.
Interesting take there by you. I mean, is there anything that for Wu, I guess, in particular that stands out? I mean, for her money line, she's a plus 375.
I don't think either of these girls are going to get finished, personally.
Okay.
I think it'll be
so that's something like someone just a straight up fight bet, like, this fight to go to judge's decision or something like that. I guess that's a solid bet then.
Because I think like Wu Yinan, she has the tools like to actually stifle some of that aggression. It's just a matter of can she do it, and I don't know if she can. That's the thing.
Because he says that she MBS is gonna have her. She's gonna come forward. She's gonna get her on the back foot, and then essentially that's gonna be octagon control going to Maya Buena Silva.
Wu has to be able to kind of turn it on her and maybe get her up against the cage and use some strength and then beat her up that way, because it's hard to keep walking you down if you're up against the fence, like, you know what I mean? So I think that might be a path to victory for her, but I wouldn't even want to take it on the ground, though, just because Bueno Silva does have good jiu-jitsu. So, yeah, that's a good fight, though. That's a sleeper fight on that card, honestly. That's a good one. And it's on the main card, right, you said?
Yeah, it's on the main card.
They know what they're doing. They know how they both fight, that's why.
Yeah, dude, now that we've actually
not bad.
Dissected this at least the main card and really dominant. It actually looks like a really good main card.
Not the worst. Not the worst. I think it'll be a good one, personally.
I'm pretty intrigued to see how that plays out. And yeah, that's as far as the rest of the card goes. More standard spots and whatnot. I guess you want to talk about the curtain jerker between Alan Tag and Kevin Kroom. Kevin Kroom being the underdog here, which rightfully so. I just wanted to bring this one up real quick because with Kroom at 7,400 especially, I like the value in that. I think I respect his grappling enough. I think his grappling can hold up enough to where if he can.
I think he could win this fight, honestly. Like, I don't think it's like a clear cut thing, but I think it's like the last fight, closer than maybe some people are giving it. Because I think both of these guys are they've been around a little bit, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I honestly also like Kevin Kroom a little bit too. I've seen him have some nice performances. So I don't know, I just have a little bit of faith in him personally. That's just what it is. Call that a tiny bit of a bias, but I don't know.
And then real quick, Stella Nunes at 8,900, minus 225, moneyline favorite.
Yeah.
Minus 110 to win by decision. Anything going to
there's not much to get into, honestly. It's rightfully, like, those odds are all good just because, like, Nunes, I think she's coming from one, well, I don't know if she's coming, but she was from one championship. And then she's just a good fighter overall, honestly. She's a good striker, and Hughes tends to start kind of slow, and I think that's going to really mess her up in this one. So, yeah, I think Nunes will win this one.
Okay. Well,
I guess before we get to the other stuff, though, we'll get the official main event predictions. I think, like I said, I think it'll be Luque by decision, personally.
I'm going to say Luque by TKO.
Got a round or just in general? You don't have to pick one. I'm just like...
Around, I'm going to say...
You could also say just earlier or later if you don't want to, like, be nailed down.
I'm going to say later. I was thinking third round, so, like, in between.
Okay.
Third round,
I can see
round.
it. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I just think this is going to be a good fight.
Yeah.
But
Hope so, of course. But, I did mention before that there were more than usual, like, things that, in terms of, like, winning methods and props that the sites are, don't really see all that eye to eye. Just want to touch on a few of that real quick. Like, Jakar Close, for instance, his money line odds on DraftKings, he's minus 630. FanDuel, you can get that at minus 720. So, I mean, that right there, Jakar Close on FanDuel, and obviously even DraftKings, if you want to parlay that with whatever, then... by all means, but there's that. And skimming through a little more in terms of like winning finishes and all that. Rafa Garcia to win by submission on DraftKings, plus 650, plus 750 on FanDuel.
okay.
Some interest in that. And there's some more here. Just getting through real quick. Jakar Close. Oh, and then also with Jakar
we talk about
Close.
that Jordan Levitt fight?
No,
I just forgot about that.
Troy Ogden and Jordan Levitt.
Yeah, I had Monkey King, man. He's cool. I don't know if there's anything in terms of value of it, but I think that'll be a fairly fun fight. I just think that I like Levitt.
I think the reason I didn't I think it's relatively easy to break down. If it's on the feet, then I think that's gonna favor. If it's on the feet, then I think it's gonna favor Levitt.
I'm the opposite, actually.
Oh wait, no, yeah, that's what I meant. If it's on the feet, it's gonna favor Ogden, and then obviously Trey Ogden's gonna keep like he did, I believe, in his last fight. I forget who it was against, but where I know he has a pretty bad problem of leaving his neck out, and then just things are gonna lead to one thing to another, and then that's pretty much it. Like Ogden's the favorite here.
That should be an interesting one, though. I'm looking forward to that one. Both it should be a good one. That's just all I wanted to say about that. I saw his name on there, Jordan Levin. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, and Kevin Crew, and this is when we were talking about that fight, what I should have brought up. This is one of these spots I was talking about. Plus 700 on DK to win by submission. Plus 950 on FanDuel.
Okay.
That's not Kevin Crew plus 700 to win by submission on DraftKings.
Yeah, like I said, I like Kevin Crew. I could see that happening personally. Yeah. Why not?
Then nothing else too egregious. Devin Clark to win by knockout on FanDuel is plus 460. On DraftKings, it's plus 300.
That could happen because William Knight could possibly get tired. Like I said, if he doesn't get that finish early. But like I said, I still think he will. I don't like a hard hitter against a guy who doesn't enjoy being hit. Like, it's just that's just what it is for me at the end of the day.
And then I guess like some smaller ones, Kyra Barajo to win by decision on FanDuel is plus 260 on DraftKings. It's plus 350, and that TJ Laramie to win by decision on DraftKings plus 650 and FanDuel plus 550. Yeah. I don't really know why. I don't really get the dissent for that, but it's like I guess just
it's a tough one.
FanDuel, they're liking Laramie a little bit more than DraftKings for whatever reason.
He's good. He's just improving. Though. That's what it is. I don't think he's done if he loses this fight. He'll be all right.
But yeah, and then I guess the last one, William Knight to win by no, that's not. Now just because I started saying it anyways, I might as well. I might as well say something.
Don't even bother. Don't even bother. It's not gonna happen. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say it's not gonna happen.
All I saw was like the difference. Like, oh, okay, but it's like, wait, hold on. This is William Knight to win by submission. Yeah. That's not gonna happen. So
plus like 9,000.
We'll pump the brakes on that one, but.
I don't know about that.
I mean, just a few more here, but we pretty much hit on everything that we needed to, and yeah, I'm real now that, especially like now that we've done that and like just broken it down and whatnot, like I'm relatively more excited for this card than I was coming in. I'm not gonna lie. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into playing it. I think I could get a nice lineup built here. But
I think there's just a lot of different things you can do. If I'm making a lineup, I'm probably staying away from the 9K, the 9K range for the most part, and like just really spending, spending in like the upper to mid 8Ks. Obviously, values like William Knight if I want to take a chance on that, but
that's gonna be a fun night, man. Because then I'll have the split screen up, bro. We'll have that, and then we'll have the Spence Ugas fight if you want to get into that.
Yeah, man, we can just listen to that. That's the card, UFC Vegas 51. As always, we hope you can use this, make as much money as you can, obviously, and enjoy the card, of course.
Should be a good one, honestly.
And this other card as well for boxing.
Yeah. Now, I'm not as much of a boxing head as I used to be, but I know a good main event when I see one. And this welterweight title fight is a fun one. I mean, I like Errol Spence a lot. I like Ugas a lot too, but I think that Ugas might try and counter-strike a lot, but I don't think that Errol Spence is going to leave the openings. Personally.
Well, I will say for boxing though, is like a title fight, especially as big as this one, it truly does feel like a spectacle.
And I think it's in Texas, which is Spence's home state, so he's gonna get a huge pop there. Everybody loves him.
Damn, I can't imagine how much pressure that has to have riding on him.
He's got some story, man. I know a little bit about him, but I watched the Pivot podcast on that he was on, and he was talking about like his bad car accident that he had. I don't know if you know anything about that, but he got into an accident and he like flew out of the car, really bad injury.
Holy shit.
It's just then obviously he had the Pacquiao fight booked eventually after that, and then he tore his retina like pretty much I think it was like the week of the fight. So that's even worse. And then this is his first fight in a long time, but he's undefeated, really good boxer. Like he's a good fighter, man.
When was his Wait, when did this car accident happen?
Like 2019, 2020 maybe?
Oh, wow.
Long time ago. Not a long time ago.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, wow, I didn't realize it was... That is pretty recent.
I kind of forgot about it, honestly, until I watched the Pivot. Like, I remember the torn retina, because I was excited for that fight versus Pacquiao, but then, like... Yeah, that was a whole nother thing in itself. Like, and I like his mentality on it. He says that, he goes, I've had all these things happen to me. I got like into this horrible car accident and I didn't get killed. Like, you're telling me some dude's gonna beat me? I was like, that's sick. That's the mentality that you gotta have. I like that. I'm a big Errol Spence like guy. I think he's a great fighter personally. So I've said personally a lot this time, but just like he's just a really good boxer fundamentally. He's trained with Floyd, so he's had that high level training since day one. Ugas is a good fighter. I just don't think.
Errol Spence has beaten Manny Pacquiao.
Right? No, he never fought. Remember, because Ugas is the one who beat Pacquiao. Because he stepped in for him in that fight. And now I think that Ugas is a good counter-striker, but I don't think that Spence is going to give him the same openings that Pacquiao did. And you also got to think that Pacquiao was older when that fight happened, too. Yeah. So I think Errol Spence should win this fight. Probably by decision. I don't think he'll get a finish. Ugas is a good fighter, but... Yeah, that should be a fun boxing fight.
Damn, yeah, imagine that prime Errol Spence versus prime Pacquiao. Probably still go to. I thought I'd still have to give that to Pacquiao, but
yeah, I think Spence has still got to fight some other guys like Terrence Crawford.
No, because I really like
Terrence Crawford, especially. Like it. Everybody's like Terrence Crawford. I don't know how many times like everybody's got to say it for them to book that fight.
I really like Errol Spence too. I think he's electric. So.
The winner of this fight is definitely probably going to fight Crawford to unify the titles. So, yeah, I'm down. Crazy. I'm down for it. So hopefully we finally get to see, if Spence does win, hopefully we finally get to see Spence versus Crawford so we can finally see who's the best welterweight on the planet. But, and then before that though, tonight I should say, Bellator, I think it's 277. I don't know if you want to look that up before I actually say it. Just look up Bellator 277 and then we'll know if I'm right. I just don't want to say it 900 times and then I'm dead wrong.
It's Bellator 277.
Yeah, there we go. So, main event is the rematch between Aj Mckee and Patricia Pitbull. Yeah. That should be a fun one. I don't think it's going to... Similarly to the Luque Muhammad main event, I don't think it'll be similar to the first fight. I don't see Mckee just going right through him pretty much as he did. That fight, honestly, too, it just never got started. And I think that Patricio is probably going to be a bit more aggressive. And I think that Mckee needs to be able to stifle that. But Mckee has reach going for him, too, though. That's the thing.
Pitbull is, pretty sure. Isn't he the longest reigning champion of Bellator's history?
I think he was until Mckee beat him.
Until Mckee.
And then he vacated the lightweight one so his brother could fight for it.
I know this dude was just running
in Bellator. He's a great fighter, man. He's got massive power in his hands, good ground game. It's just... AJ Mckee, though, he's a big featherweight. He's got long arms. He's got a long reach, which is why I think that Patricio might have been so tentative the first time. But I think Patricio in this fight, he can't be that tentative because that's when Mckee's going to blitz in on him. It's just always
so, because, the pretty much is what I think, like you said, with Belal and Luque, except the thing is...
This is much more recent, too. Yeah. That first fight with Luque and Belal was UFC 205 in 2016.
And also I was going to say that, Belal actually got knocked out. And then,
this one was a submission.
Generally, when you...
It was so quick. It was the first sequence of the fight. It was I think it was a head kick, and then he immediately got the guillotine on him.
It's just always such a weird, dynamic to, factor in because, when you have a rematch like this, the guy that lost, especially to get finished, and then especially for Pitbull's case to lose the title as well, it's just always so you just you don't truly, you can always, it's easy to say they're gonna come back even way better and more hungry and motivated.
I'll say this for him. I was watching weighing in this week, and it was obviously those guys, they work in Bellator, so they know a lot of the guys and the managers, and they were talking to Pitbull's manager, and he even was I'm not saying that anything can happen in a fight. He can win or lose, but in terms of his his preparation and the way he looks coming in, the manager said this is the best he's ever seen him. And take that as you may. Yeah. But he does look good. If you look at him, if you looked at him at the weigh-ins and stuff, and just in the face, he does look in good shape. So I think that he really is going to come in different in this fight. I just think so. I think he's a great fighter. Just because he's not in the UFC doesn't mean shit to me. I think that both of these guys can make their way in that 145-pound division as stacked as it is in the UFC. But, yeah, I just think, though, that AJ Mckee, he's just physically different.
I'm gonna make an interesting parallel here right now. Even though, I don't think, the magnitude is as much, but I think it still applies. So, when GSP fought Matt Serra for the first time and obviously lost, wasn't, quote-unquote, doesn't taking Matt Serra... taking Matt Serra seriously there. That's not to say that's what Pitbull was doing with AJ Mckee.
You still have to say, though, he had a lot of confidence going in, knowing that he was pound for pound one of the best fighters in the organization.
Obviously, when GSP and Matt Serra ran it back, GSP got back to who GSP is and got his title back.
This is going to be a better fight. I know it will. It's the thing with me is...
Has Mckee... So, who is... Has Mckee defended...
No, this is immediate rematch.
Okay, all right. Wow, so yeah,
for both of them, I think. So
I'm liking Pitbull here then, man.
Yeah, I definitely think it'll be a better fight, but I'm still going with Mckee.
Okay.
Just physically, man, right. That guy's a specimen. He's really explosive. He's got he's good at using his reach too, and I think that the way that Pitbull wins is to take risks. And I think that might get him in trouble in this one. But I don't know, man. It'll be a good one. I think this one's going to be
I just also feel if there's someone that's going to take risks and, be successful at it or, just go in. Yeah, just go in with, all right, nothing to lose. Like,
I'm not saying I can't see it. Like, I think it's close. Like, I'm not saying like McKee by a long shot. I just think it's more of like a reach thing. Like, I think he's gonna have a really hard time closing the distance on a guy like that, and that's not even to mention the wrestling that he has, which he's got better wrestling than Pitbull, but I think Pitbull might have better jiu-jitsu. And obviously, that first fight, it's hard to take a lot from it just because that was the first exchange. But still, I just think Pitbull's going to have a hard time closing that distance. But, like, I agree with you, though, that it's definitely possible. If there's anybody who can pull something off and, land a good shot coming in, it would be Pitbull. And, yeah, I'm excited for that fight. But even besides that, we got the co-main event, which is good, too. The light heavyweight Grand Prix final between Vadim Nemkov, the Bellator light heavyweight champ, and Corey Anderson, who was obviously in the UFC for a long time, top contender there. He's a top contender here too. And yeah, so, I'm excited for that one.
If I'm hearing this correctly, then whoever wins this fight is
the champ.
Okay.
And then they also get $1 million because they'll win the Grand Prix.
Yeah, I know that Bellator does that, which is awesome. I think that's
those
so
Grand
Prix
are so fun. Like I think they're so exciting for the sport. That's like one thing in my opinion that makes them a little like in that sense they're better than the UFC.
Yeah, because like you just look at these. It's that I think the key word is just like innovation, like just how one operates.
Well, they're taking the pride method, I guess. But like the thing is, though, I think the reason why the UFC doesn't do it is because the UFC wants to control the matchups, and I don't think they want some guy who they don't like winning all the fights. Because look at Corey Anderson. Like you could even use him. Like that's the reason why he's not even in the UFC anymore. Like he didn't get cut. It was a mutual parting of ways, but it was just he wasn't getting pushed because of his style. And he didn't like that, and that's why he went to Bellator, and now he's making a lot more money. And I'm happy for him, man, because he's a great fighter. I think that he should have fought John Jones at some point. But, yeah, man, this is going to be a good one between him and Nemkov. I think him and Nemkov, even though they're in Bellator, I think that they're in the conversation for the best light heavyweights in the world, like UFC, Bellator, anybody. I think that they, just like McKee and Pitbull, even more so, though, I think that they can definitely like make some noise in that division if they were to be in the UFC.
And I honestly don't even think you have to quantify something like that, like as to whether or not they were in the UFC.
Well, I just say it for more like the casual fans, because like a lot of people think UFC is the sport. You know what I'm saying?
But what I'm more trying to say is like, okay, but can he do it here? Is more thing, because obviously like, okay, you're one of the the greatest whatever weight class you're in the world, but here in the UFC, like we have UFC, like everyone who's ranked, like 15 guys are here that are ranked
deep. Deep.
They're just they're gonna be regarded as even better than you. So
it's tough. There's high expectations coming in. Like you look at guys like Mike Chandler, Ben Askren, like these guys are champions outside of the organization, both in Bellator, honestly too. And then especially Chandler too coming in. He was coming. I know that before that, at one point, lightweight Will Brooks had come in. I think he beat Chandler in Bellator, but Will Brooks was a massive flop in the UFC. So people, because of that, I think, look at them very differently. But there's a lot of guys that were in Bellator that came to the UFC that were really good. You got Askren, obviously, and I know his UFC run didn't go very well, but you can't say that he wasn't a great fighter. You got we were just talking about Mike Chandler.
That's what
Will Brooks. There's so many more. Volkov was in Bellator, I'm pretty sure.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, these guys being beat by these guys doesn't make them like trash fighters. Like, they're just getting beat by someone that's better, or just
Vadim Nemkov is one of the best all-around fighters in that division. Period. Like UFC, Bellator, any of them. Like I said, all around. Like he's got great kicks. He's very powerful. He's got really good wrestling. But on the flip side, Corey Anderson has great wrestling too, which is why I'm so excited for this fight, because I'm like, who's going to be able to assert their will? And I like fights like that.
Yeah.
Who do you have in this one, if anybody? I don't know if you know as much about Nemkov, honestly.
I don't know a whole lot about Nemkov, so I guess I'll just side with Corey Anderson, but I see this first tab here, and it shows, I don't know where they're getting the odds from, but it shows the odds, and Nemkov's only minus 160 only one that's minus 160 as the champion.
It should be close because honestly, I'm gonna say this: like I have Corey Anderson in this fight, and that's the reason why I'm talking.
I think it's only right
Nemkov though, because like people are gonna say, "Oh, he's champ Bellator," but like I hate when people say that, especially if they're beating good guys, because Nemkov is good, man. And I think that Corey Anderson's just a little bit better. I think he's got the wrestling and the relentlessness to take it there and put Nemkov into deeper water than he's really been in. And I think that because he's had tough fights with Phil Davis too, Vadim Nemkov, and Phil Davis has like a pretty similar style. And I just think that Corey Anderson, though, he's more like, while Phil Davis is more like he's going to try and pick you apart and do it strategically, Corey Anderson does that, but he's also more aggressive with it. Like, if he goes for a takedown, he's going to go for 2. He's going to go for 3. Like, it's going to keep coming. And I don't know if Nemkov's going to be able to stop that, like, honestly. And even that's despite being a good wrestler himself. It's just a tough ask to fight with someone like Corey Anderson. But, man, it's going to be a good weekend of fights, that's for sure. I'm excited for tonight, tomorrow, and then we get to talk about it on Sunday. And you guys will get to hear about it on Monday.